In Borg, you can find the largest Viking museum of Norway, Lofotr. In the museum area, a large Viking house was found. But what's the difference between a Norwegian and a Viking?
We're
not clear what the word Viking exactly means. During the Viking Age, the region around the Oslofjord was called Viken, Bay. It's possible that the first Vikings traveling to Europe came from Viken, so that foreigners called them Vikings. It's not certain, but a possible explanation, probably the most logical one. Viking is the foreign name for Norwegian.
The end was the complete Christianization. But what was the original religion?
In the old religion, there were many gods. It wasn't a religion in the modern sense. There were many different forces involved. There were good and evil forces, which were constantly fighting, so that there was always disorder. These forces had names and were personified. They could be humans or animals. They were diverse and there were many different forces. They believed that these forces, their ancestors and the gods, were walking among them on earth. They prayed for good harvests, or that the sun should come back after the polar night. They gave sacrifices to the ancestors and the gods. During very hard times, a valuable sacrifice was required. That could have been a human sacrifice. We believe they did it. We do know that they did sacrifice horses, which were very valuable animals. Most of the time, it wasn't that violent. They brought porridge or beer to the grave of the ancestor. They did that so that the forces which control them would hear them.
It was very coincidental that this house was discovered.
In the early 1980s, a farmer was plowing his field. Suddenly some objects appeared, so we know something exciting was beneath. Archaeological digging started, and the largest longhouse of the Viking Age in Scandinavia was found. The house was 83 meters long and 9 meters wide. Research showed that the house had several rooms. With findings in the different rooms, we could define their functions. It was possible to identify the fireplace and the throne of the chieftain. In the pillar next to it, we found 5 gold amulets.
The actual finding place is next to the reconstruction. One of the chieftains had a long story.
At the end of the 9th century, a man called Lofotr Vikingmuseum emigrated to Iceland. He came from an island called Lofoten, the old name for Vestagøy, the island we're on. One had to be rich and resourceful to emigrate to Iceland. One would need ships and a lot of equipment. A lot of chieftains emigrated to Iceland because they didn't get along with the new kings in Norway. In Icelandic sources, it's written that Lofotr Vikingmuseum came from Lofoten. We think he was a chieftain here in Borg, but that's not written.
The house has 3 rooms: the large throne room, the living room where visitors can learn about Viking craft, and in the stable there is an exhibition about mythology. At the old Viking harbor, it's possible to take a tour with a dragon boat, either with rows or with sails. Visitors can try bow shooting or axe throwing. There is also a museum with exclusive exhibits.
We found 5 gold amulets in one of the pillars in the large throne room. It shows a couple which we think is the god Odin and the Jotun woman Skadi. We think that chieftains in 5 generations sacrificed amulets to ensure their power. They did that to show their godly descendants. At least 5 generations could show their godly descendants to the god Odin. One of the rarest findings was a golden pointer. It's a tool to help follow the line in a book while reading. Only 5 pointers were found in Europe. The most famous is from King Alfred's court in England.
It's also possible to eat like a Viking.
This is lamb stew, from lamb and root vegetables. This is a Viking meal. We used herbs from the Viking age. We grow them ourselves at the museum. There is victory onion and baldmoney in it. It's very popular. We serve it with flatbread and sour cream.
The Viking Museum Lofotr is located on Vestagøy, in the western part of the Lofoten, near the town Leknes. Leknes has an airport. Passengers on the Hurtigruten can book tours with meals in the throne room.